Okay, our next guest on Gun Owners Radio is John Montalbano. He is with Invictus Krav Maga, and we wanted to talk a little bit about self-defense that doesn't involve a firearm, or maybe even incorporates a firearm. John is a local instructor here in San Diego in Southern California, and he has a real successful studio, and a lot of students just love him to death, and they said, you got to have him on. He's such a great guy. So, John, thanks for joining us, man.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you bet. So tell us, give us just give us the rundown. Give us like the 30-second rundown on your studio. What do you guys do? What do you specialize in?
Well, Krav Maga, it basically means it's Hebrew for contact combat. And it's basically, incorporating a couple of different martial arts. We steal stuff from boxing, steal stuff from Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, etc. And we put it all together, and it's a fighting system. We don't really like to say martial art. There's nothing artistic about gouging somebody's eyes out. It's to deal with real life threats, and definitely not a sport. It's for real world scenarios. Our studio, we're located in Poway, and it's about a mile and a half east of 15, and we've been there for a number of years now, and have had a great turnout. We have some great students. It's a wonderful place to come train, but I might be biased.
In my understanding, we've talked a little bit about Krav Maga before, but Krav Maga, I think what differentiates it, and people who study and promote Krav Maga are very proud of this. It's not a sport. It's not intended to be a sport. There's no sport associated with it. It is kind of down and dirty, get to the point, solve a problem, self-defense that was developed by the Israelis. And my understanding is they developed it, they wanted to quickly teach people who were civilians that had no self-defense experience how to defend themselves in real-world scenarios. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's very accurate. The father of Krav Maga, Lichtenfeld, he was tasked by the Israeli Defense Forces to teach these guys this fighting style, and not just teach them, but they said, by the way, you don't have a lot of time to do this, so it has to be quick. And so Krav Maga is based on your body's natural reaction to things. A lot of times when a student meets me for the first time, and I try to explain this to them, I do things to them where I don't tell them how to defend themselves. I just said, okay, I'm going to slap your face. What would you do? And a lot of times they go like this and they block it. I go, great. You didn't have a lesson of Krav Maga, but there's your body teaching you. So that's kind of what it is, right? If you had a fly buzzing around your face and you go something like that, well, that's something similar what we would do if somebody punches you down your face. Just slap it out of the way. So it's simple. It doesn't take a lot of time to become very proficient in it.
Gotcha. Now, so this was, and of course, the reason the Israelis were interested in doing this is they were setting up a new country, and they were surrounded by people that wanted to kill them. All their neighbors and some of the folks that actually lived within their country decided, hey, we don't want this to happen. We want to kill them immediately. So they didn't have a lot of time to, set up a philosophy or turn it into an art or test this in a ring or whatever. They needed to do this, here, now, and it had to work. What about Krav Maga interested you enough to get into it and then start instructing it? What purpose does it have in 2025?
All right, so that's kind of two questions. So I'll answer the first question first. How did I get started with it? Michael, I wish I had a sexy story for you that I was confronted by three guys with knives, and it wasn't like that at all. I'm 63 now, but I was 48 at the time, and I was going to my doctor's office for a checkup, and he's looking over my chart and he says, "Yeah, you need to do something, or I'm going to put you on blood pressure and cholesterol medicine." So I said, "Okay, I'll find something to do." And I happened to be on Groupon, and boom, there was a Groupon for a class. So I took it and absolutely fell in love with it. Between the people and the instructor, it was fabulous. I couldn't get enough of it. I was just so intrigued on how easy and effective this is. I just couldn't believe it. And so, like many people in any martial art or anything, you do it long enough and you want to become an instructor. So I did that.
That's like, by the way, John, that's actually a really cool answer. That's probably the most interesting answer I've ever gotten from that question when it comes to, somebody getting into instructing any kind of self-defense. I think that's great. I think it's an amazingly honest answer, and I think it's very relatable to a lot of listeners. And I think you and I might have the same doctor too. I'm not sure, but because he seems to be giving that advice out a lot. But honestly, one of the things I wanted to get into, and I still want to answer that second question about, what place does Krav Maga have in 2025? But I actually did want to get into like, hey, our listeners aren't a lot. They're not a lot of high schoolers or even college guys and women in our audience. It's probably guys over 40. And I was going to ask, like, hey, if you're that late in life and you haven't taken any self-defense, or maybe you feel like, geez, I don't know, this is probably a young man's game, or I'm not sure if I can pull this off, but you were 48 the first time you even tried it after a doctor was saying, hey, man, you need to get off the couch. I think that's not only a really honest and interesting answer, but I think I think that is a level of promoting Krav Maga that is probably going to be very effective and interesting to a lot of people. Was it normal? When you went, were you the only 48-year-old, or no? There was a lot of middle-aged folks trying it out for the first time.
To be honest, I was probably on the upper end, but so I started when I was 48. There was plenty of mid 30 to mid 40 people, but there were people older than me. For sure. There were a few guys, probably about 5 guys that were older than me. So again, kind of like what you say, hey, if this guy could do it, why can't I do it? Right. So that's that. Oh, Michael, before we go, I just have to, I do want to say, my tooth here, I got it knocked out by my dog. So I think it's kind of important. I don't want people looking at this and say, oh, I don't know if I want to take the self-defense lessons from this guy. But yeah.
Well, here's what I want to know. Now I want to know what classes does your dog teach? Because clearly that guy.
Yeah. Fur Missile 101. 80-pound Fur Missile 101. Yeah.
That's okay. I got to tell you, if I'm learning self-defense from a guy with perfect teeth, I don't know, man. It might be a little suspicious. I think you should keep it. I think it looks good.
Yeah.
Okay. So honestly,
but no, Michael, getting back to your question. We have students, we teach kids, we teach men, women, all ages. I had an 80-year-old woman taking classes from me. She was salty. I mean, she was great. She ended up moving away to Arizona. I think it's either Florida or Arizona. That's where you have to move when you get to be a certain age, I guess. I don't know. But she was fantastic, and we miss her. But yeah, this is something that anybody can learn.
Right. To some level.
Matter of fact, we're teaching a senior class now. We have a bunch of seniors. And I'm one of them, I guess, 63. But a great group of people. I don't teach them anything different. I teach them the same stuff, but we slow things down a little bit and do it that way. But yeah, anybody could do this, Mike.
Okay, so what place does Krav Maga have in 2025?
Okay, well. It's no secret that crime statistics are going up on a daily basis, and we won't talk about political matters, but I think it's safe to say that that people have noticed an increase in crime. So a lot of your listeners might be saying, "Why do I need this? I might carry a firearm with me." All right. So my questions for you are this: a few questions. Number one, uh, don't tell me where you carry your firearm, but if you were putting groceries away in the back of your car, and I came up from behind you and wrap my arms around you to take you somewhere, are you able to get to your firearm? That's one question. Another question. Let's say you're on a public transportation thing, trolley, airplane, and somebody gets little crazy. Somebody pulls out a sharp instrument. Look, TSA, they do a great job, but I have personally brought a tactical pens on board plane. I've brought, not on purpose, they were just in my jacket, and I just went right through. I have a stun gun flashlight that got passed through. So
No, wow.
don't go under the misconception that you're perfectly safe on an airplane. But even if we go that route, let's say that no weapons at all will ever go on an airplane. People are getting crazy, man. You
Yeah.
lean your seat back into somebody, they don't like it, and then what are you going to do if your self defense depends on a firearm? What do you do in those situations? There are plenty of places in California where you cannot carry your concealed firearm. Schools, etc. Right? And again, what do you do if you're confronted in these situations?
Sure. Is it, would you describe it as, if somebody who, carries and trains and, hey, they got a gun, and I got to tell you, man, the older I get, the more I think to myself, I don't want to throw any punches. I got no interest in that. I just leave me alone. If you don't leave me alone, hopefully my gun will get me out of a bad situation. But you're right. Sometimes you don't have a choice. People make that decision for you. But would you describe it as complementary? In other words, do you ever address like, hey, you might be carrying pepper spray, you might be carrying a gun or whatever? You know what I mean? Is it incorporated? Is it complementary? Or
Oh, of course, yeah. It is definitely complimentary. I mean, I've been doing this for 15 years. Okay, I'm California State Director, own my own school, expert instructor. I still carry a gun, Michael. I mean,
yeah, I
look,
get it.
right? So the thing is, hopefully, I have enough training where I'll be able to get to my gun. So I need to rely on my Krav Maga to, get me those few seconds so that I'm able to get to my gun and draw it if I need to.
And do you have a good, it doesn't necessarily have to be like somebody got attacked and they fought their way out or whatever. Maybe it is, but what's a good success story? What's your favorite success story over the last 15, 20 years that you've been doing this?
A friend of mine his kid got married,
Mm-hmm.
and there was some wedding crashers, not Vince Vaughn, some real wedding crashers, and they wanted them out of there. The guys were becoming a little bit belligerent. Of course, wedding isn't the place where you want to throw down, right, and cause a scene. So I was able to successfully, let's just say, escort the individuals away without
Nice.
causing a scene.
Nice. So you saved the wedding. Didn't the bride's wedding wasn't ruined? You were able to de-escalate the situation by using what you knew as far as Krav Maga and getting them out of there.
Yes.
Good. That's awesome. Yeah, I graduated high school in 1994, and I wrestled in middle school and high school, and I didn't even want to wrestle. I was looking for a bunch of my football buddies went to join the wrestling team in 7th grade, and I thought I'll try it. And I fell in love with it. I thought it was great. Actually, I think I ended up liking wrestling a lot more than I liked football or any other sport, frankly. And then they started calling it grappling. You know, it wasn't really called grappling until MMA became a TV sport. But it was no surprise to me that when you put people in a ring in a real situation, that grappling became extremely important. In fact, probably the most important part of fighting. You know, you had kicking and you have punching and you have grappling is really basically what it breaks down to. And I think all the kickers thought that kicking was the most important and all the hitters thought that hitting was the most important. But in reality, so many altercations, you know, you end up grappling. That's where you end up. You might end up on the ground. You might end up standing and grappling. But it's amazingly important when it comes to fighting. There was no surprise to me when that rose to the surface, and it was like, man, you got to be able to grapple. You know, punch as well as you can, you know, kick as well as you can, but you got to be able to grapple. That's what you got to be able to do when it comes to fighting. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? Do you agree with that, or is that a major part of Krav Maga that you teach?
I agree 100% in MMA and sport fighting, but in real life situations, I'm not so much a proponent, and here's why.
Talk about that.
I'm not. How can I say that? Again, like the question with the gun, is it complementary? Yes, complementary. You know, wrestling, BJJ, complementary to Krav Maga. And here's what I mean. We've all been to school. We've all probably seen a fight in school, and two guys start it, and what happens? A little circle starts forming. Okay. Do you know who everybody is? Do you know that everybody's your friend? You go to the ground, and yeah, you are, Michael, I am going to grant you, you are the wrestling king, and you will have this guy tied up in no time. All right, well, that's great. You stay on the ground, his friend's going to come and hit you in the head, kick you right in the head. And why? Because you don't train that way in these other sports. Okay? You don't train that way. You don't train with worrying about multiple attackers. Okay? You don't train with some guy pulling a knife on you. You don't train where in Krav Maga, I will not hesitate to bite you, reach for your eyes and gouge them out. Michael, you know this. How many pounds of pressure does it take to pull a trigger? 5 or so, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Depending on the trigger.
It takes about 20 pounds of pressure to open up a can of Coke, and about 80 pounds of pressure for we'll say a non-millennial handshake. Okay, so that's it takes about 2 to 3 pounds of pressure to gouge out somebody's eyes. Okay, so
Wow.
it doesn't take much at all. So again, if you are going into a street fight thinking that these rules that you abided to in your sport is going to be the end all thing, it might not. I mean, you're certainly better off, or more better off than a person who doesn't train. I'm just saying that if you don't train in scenarios where you have multiple people with weapons, you're doing yourself a disservice. Whether you're a grappler, whether you're a striker, it doesn't matter. You need to be well versed in all.
John, do you think that that's the thing that most people need to realize about taking a self-defense class, like some kind of, well, you don't call it martial arts, but some kind of hand-to-hand, some kind of self-defense class that's not necessarily weapons? You think that's the most important thing that they need to understand is, hey, in the real world, there are no rules. Is that the most important thing they need to understand about mindset?
Yeah, mindset. That's a key word. Yeah, there's, first of all, it's being aware that there are multiple people, multiple. Let's try that again in English, Michael. In the real world, there are more than likely a good chance that there'll be multiple attackers. And look, here's another thing. Okay, you do your martial art thing and you train on a nice soft mat, and everything's nice. Well, what happens when you're on the street and you step on an oil slick and slip? Or the conditions are not going to be perfect. What happens when adrenaline is coursing through your veins? Are you going to be able to execute a fine detail strike or something like that? It's difficult when adrenaline is coursing through your veins. Well, look, same thing when you're shooting, right? Okay, you put a little stress on somebody, put that little timer thing, go, and
Your training goes out the window sometimes.
Yeah,
Or
right?
your lack
So
of training is front and center, maybe. Yeah, I get you.
yeah, so it's the same thing when you encounter a situation out on the street. So yeah,
Okay.
you need to be aware of your surroundings. You need to be aware that there are probably pairs or more of people working together, and they could have a weapon, man. It's everybody has a little 3-inch pocket knife in their pocket.
So, all right, John. So, if somebody wants to train with you, visit your website, right? I'm sure that's probably the first place to start.
Or they could call. Yeah, well, I guess, yeah, you have to go to the website to get our phone number.
All right, what's your website?
Invictus-kravmaga.com.
Okay, perfect. And then on there, I'm sure.
Hey, that's it right there.
There it is. Look at that. It's like we knew. And I'm sure you have do you have intro classes, or how do they know what classes to sign up for, or what do you recommend if somebody is interested, they heard this and they want to get started? What do they do?
So, Michael, would you mind flashing the website back up again?
Sure. There you go.
There's a big blue button right there where your mouse cursor is. It
Yes,
says
sir.
introductory trial class. Click here, and it'll take you right there. You could pick a day and time that you want to sign up, and
Oh, cool. Look at that.
yeah,
You got all kinds of good, awesome. All right, great.
yeah, make it easy.
All right, John. Well, this is great, man. I highly encourage people to check it out. Anything else? What else would you like our audience to know? Anything else you want to make sure that they understand or know or hear?
No, I mean, really, a lot of your situations come down. I mean, everybody hears this, so it's not like, oh, thanks, Einstein. But your situational awareness. Don't walk with your head down, looking at your phone. Don't have 2 earbuds in when you're walking. Have one out. Look, your ears can hear 360 degrees. Your eyes are, forward 180 degrees only. So, be aware of who's around you. If you're walking down the street in the summer and there's a guy with a black trench coat, maybe you might want to take another path, right? So, just that kind of thing would be probably that'll get you out of a lot of situations.
Gotcha. All right. Last question. So you got into this because the doctor said, "Hey, we need you to get more active." So did it work? Did getting more active actually work? And was your doctor happy with it?
Yes, yes. I'm very happy with it. He's happy with it, and
Your dentist maybe not as happy, but
that is true. Yes.
well, good. Congratulations.
But it is again, Michael. It's more than just learning how to defend yourself and getting into shape. It's a sense of community. I mean, yesterday we had a free day at the beach. People could have joined us, and we did a lot of training at the beach, which was fun. And we all went out for lunch afterwards. We do things like we have Oktoberfest at our gym. Just all kinds of Cinco de Mayo, of course. Christmas time, Santa comes. and brings presents for all the little boys and girls and adults, boys and girls.
Nice.
Yeah, it's just a fun place.
Well, great. Well, I appreciate you talking to us about it. Invictus, Krav Maga, and Poway, right?
Exactly. Thank you very much, Michael, for having me on the show.
Yes, sir,
Longtime
John.
fan.
Oh, well, good. Well, thank you. Thanks
All
for
right.
taking the time. Hey, thanks for watching Gun Owners Radio. I hope you loved that clip. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and follow us on social media. And check out our website at gunownersradio.com.